You're listening to the Dibbly Dobbly podcast. Remember to like, share, comment, subscribe, and click the bell to make sure you get the latest episodes of the podcast. Be sure to like and share our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter and on Instagram.
Hi, I'm Fabio Marabini. I'm the president of the Italian Cricket Federation, and I'm on the Dibbly Dobbly podcast with you.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Dibbly Dobbly podcast. And on the podcast, we have started a new series on the podcast looking at associate nations within cricket and how they are developing the game in their country. Many of us cricket fans know so much about the established cricketing countries and not enough on the associate nations who play cricket. So it would be nice to learn more about those associate countries, and via the podcast, people can learn more as well. For today's Associate Cricket Series episode, we are discussing all things Italy cricket, and joining me to discuss and talk all things Italy cricket is the president of the Italy Cricket Federation, Fabio Marabini. Fabio, welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, it's great to have you here, Fabio, and to talk all things Italy cricket, because when you associate Italy with sport, people don't put cricket in that mix. It's often football or cycling, if you're a fan of that, with the Giro d'Italia, which is on every year in Italy as well. So people associate Italy with those types of sports and other sports as well, but not so much cricket. But it does have a place in Italy, and it's been there for quite some time, and it's grown and developed over the years. And obviously, we spoke to one of your female players from Italy, Emilia Bartram, on the podcast, and she talked us through some good things that are happening in Italy in terms of the women's side of things, which is nice to hear and really encouraging and positive from her. And in our chat today, Fabio, it will be the same in terms of the whole operation over there in Italy, how everything's going, and how you, as the president of the federation, and your team are trying to, make sure that the game is continuing to prosper and develop in Italy. So I think everyone will have a great time listening to this episode and learning more about Italy cricket and some of the work that you're doing over there. So no doubt people will get a good education when it comes to Italy cricket today. But before we do that, Fabio, as I do with all my guests that I've interviewed on the podcast, I'd like to take them back to when they first got into cricket. And it's been very fascinating listening to people's memories on how they started to get into cricket. So, Fabio, let's go back to the very beginning of your cricket journey. What were your earliest memories of watching, playing, and even going to the cricket?
So, as a sportsman, I'm basically a ski instructor and a snowboard instructor. I've been competing at a decent level in snowboard, and I've been introduced to cricket in 1991, looking at in 1992, looking at a World Championship on the television, and I say, "What's this strange sport?" Because you still had at the time the small screen on top of the video footage that was showing the batsman running, exchanging the position, and I said, "Okay, that I got," but then I wasn't able to get all the rules. And then few months later, in 1993, I was asked to join after there's always a story involving a bar, some friends, and a few beers, and I've been asked to join the club, which was maybe not more than 12 or 18 months old, and I've been asked to join the club. Yeah, why don't you come? I was looking for some let's say, extra sport for the summertime. I don't like to go to the gym. I'm not that kind of guy pumping that much. I love more some action. And I say, yeah, why don't you come join us? We do a lot of stretching, a lot of running, a lot of interesting things. You're gonna love it, and I loved it. And a few months later, I had my first game. I got a catch maybe after 10 balls. And I said, okay, I'm a champ. And that's how it started, actually. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. I loved the atmosphere. I loved the different kind of foods, the different cultures we were meeting. Every match was different. We were traveling a lot at the time because, of course, cricket is not based only in our area. So we had to travel from where I live nearby Milan. Our town is Bergamo, and it's a small town, 125,000 people, more or less. And we were traveling to Bologna, to Trento, to Rome, to nearby Florence. And of course, it was a lot of traveling and not enough playing, but still we had a lot of fun. And we loved the atmosphere. I've never been so much a football guy. So I love the fact that there was a lot of respect on the ground, a lot of fair play, and the spirit of the game was the thing that really caught me. And I still believe is the biggest value in cricket that we should all be focused to preserve, because I think it's of course we have a lot of athleticism, a lot of different kind of technical good things to see, but still the spirit of the game, the fair play, being gentlemen or gentlewomen on the ground is the best thing we can see from cricket, because you don't see that from other sports. Maybe rugby is one of them, but rugby is different. They have a fight first, and then they share a beer. We share beers or just a dish of biryani or something like that. And I think is really underestimated, and we should be looking at the laws of cricket and the preamble about the spirit of the game a lot more.
Yeah, definitely. I couldn't agree more. Yes, and that's what makes cricket different to other sports, I suppose. Excuse me. Yes, with that spirit of the game, and fair play, as you mentioned, and playing in the right spirit, really. Just having fun, really, and enjoying the game. So it was quite interesting hearing your introductions into the game and how you got into it. Just watching it from on the TV basically, and saying, "Oh, this is an interesting sport. I'm going to do some more digging into this." And then you found out that it was being played in Italy, and you joined your club over there, and now cricket has found a place in Italy. That's for sure, in terms of the sporting landscape, as we'll talk about as we get further and further into our chat today. But when you were learning the game and getting into it, did you watch any particular international teams that you gravitated towards?
Of course, it was. Um, I've been always an Australia fan and a Sri Lanka fan more than other teams. Australia, because from my perspective, in many sports, they they have the right attitude with in terms of giving a fight in some terms. And they put something more. You see that in every final they have been playing. Was it last? You see they give it all, and that's but and it's more or less the same in different sports. Then you see a guy like Dirk Nans, who was an Olympic skier, and he had the same attitude on the ground, and that's kind of thing you don't see so much from other countries, although they might prevail as well, of course. And then, of course, Sri Lanka, because my coach was Sri Lankan, and half of the team was Sri Lankan, and of course, it was '96 when they won the World Championship with Ranatunga as a captain, and they say, okay, see, even a guy with some belly can win a world class event, and I think that's not the case anymore. You need more fitness in the game today, and that is part of the things we are looking at very much with the national team today. But of course, that was something thinking at, okay, technique is prevailing on let's say athleticism as a
yeah, definitely. Australia definitely the powerhouses of cricket. They always have been for many years. And Sri Lanka, the small island nation, always performing to the best of their abilities, and they certainly did in that '96 World Cup. They won against Australia in the final, and Rangatunga led them as captain, and really put Sri Lankan cricket on the map, really, in that World Cup win, and they haven't looked back since. But I suppose, a lot of cricket fans have other teams that they support other than their own nation, of course, and then they gravitate towards when they've been watching the game for years. So it was good to hear your, thoughts on that, supporting Australia and Sri Lanka in your formative years of learning the game, and you gravitated towards them and liking how they played their cricket, and obviously how they went about things on the field. Any particular playing memory that stands out for you when you were playing the game? Any memory that stood out in your mind from that time?
I think it was maybe the first championship I've been playing here. Of course, at the time it was you didn't have even to register as a player. You were just showing your ID card coming to the ground, and that was enough. And that was surprising me very much, because I was used to skiing competition, and you were already forced into a system where you were supposed to have, let's say, a certain standard. So register, then go to the doctor, have a proper visit to see if it was you're fit enough to do certain things. I was doing downhill races. Some scans to see if your head was okay after some crashes and so on. And with cricket, none of these things happened. So that was fun for me. And it was funny also seeing people having lunch during the game, or having even a beer. And I say, okay, that's a very weird sport, and approach which it was very new to me. But then I discovered also competition. My first championship, as I said, ended not in the best way. We finished second because I at the very last game of the season, where it was at the time, and with a win, we would have um, uh, won the championship against the local team in Rome. And it was raining, unfortunately, and I slipped trying to hit the ball, and I hit the wicket. And I was the last man standing, hitting the wicket. We needed a bonus point at maybe 80 runs or something like that, and we were all out for 77. That's and it was something that lasted for maybe 20 years. I've been playing for the next 20 years, and finally I managed to have sort of revenge for that. In 2014, I was already 46, and I managed to win my first championship. That by then I was still playing.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. That's great. To finally win a championship with the team, and get your revenge, as you said, obviously, after the heartbreak many years ago. But yeah, no, you play cricket to win, and have fun as well, and have success with your teammates, and that's what cricket's about, really. The camaraderie ship, the mateship, and just being together, and playing and having fun and sharing memories. So it's always nice to look back on these things and with a smile, and look back and say, yeah, that was a moment that stuck out for me. Now, in terms of your involvement in Italy cricket, how did that come about in terms of, rising to your current post as president?
It started from the club because nobody was willing to work for the club. Already by then, it was difficult to find people wanting to manage the whatever it was, the papers and so on. So I stepped up. Okay, raised my hand. I can do that, and I was first secretary of the club, and then president of the club. But then president of the club didn't mean nothing. At the time, so you were just the president and playing and driving the car and preparing the food and cutting the grass and we've been always struggling with the grounds. And I said, okay, I'm an architect. I can try to um, find solutions for that. And after more than 30 years, I'm still struggling with this kind of things, and it's difficult. It's the most difficult thing, fighting here with bureaucracy to find solutions for the clubs around in Italy. And of course, there's a part of me regretting with all these lack of assistance from other people in the clubs we have been through. I've been playing in Bergamo first, and then in Milan. We've done 2 other clubs, and I'm still now with another club where I see there's more collaboration in some terms, where we lack more in terms of cricket culture. Because in Australia, you have people maybe 80 years old still helping and still wanting to come and score for the game, and just maybe umpiring the game. That's nice. We struggle to have umpires joining the umpires association. People want to play but don't want to take part to the organization, which is of course a bit sad. Um, it hasn't to do with the money; that it has to do more with the understanding what's behind the organization. Of course, Italy is not a cricket nation. It's not a rugby nation either, but we need to understand that, like in football, like in cycling, people have to be involved more in the life of the sport association, because you don't get easily things done if only one people is doing everything. And of course, I've been raising kids as well. I've been coaching them, and that's where I would love to focus more myself. I think if I think myself when after the 60s, I'm 57 in 2 months now. It will be difficult for me to think not to coach kids. Me is basics, coaching kids, coaching in the schools. But of course, I reckon that my career as a manager from the club, and then becoming vice president of the federation, and then in 2016 stepping up and say, okay, I think we need a change. The by then president was there since 30 years. He said, okay, I'm done. And we've been growing a lot since then. We had 20 clubs more or less at the time. We have now 102 clubs as per 2023. We have maybe 2,500 registered players as for the competitions. And last year we've been teaching to almost 35,000 kids in the schools, which is the first amazing result from the season, because of course you need some money to do this kind of approach to the schools, and you can do that kind of thing without coaches, and you can do that without paying them.
Yeah.
So we managed to get some funding from the government for specifically for integrations and coaching into schools. And we combined with one project cricket and a local sport called tamburello, which is tambourine actually, and American football. And in another project, it was just cricket. And in that project, we approached 35,000 kids, which is amazing from my point of view. In 2016, we had maybe 180 games during the season. We have now 850 games during the season. That shows you the difference. We had even more, but that was because we had this ECS, European Cricket Series, and we did it in 5 places, so we had more than 1,000 games 1 year, but that wasn't so easy to manage, so we reduced a bit that. We are doing just 2 events now. And of course, ECN, my friend Daniel Weston has been playing a big part on the growth of the game in Italy in the last few years, giving us the possibility to stream and to let's say a lot of players just willing to show their value, and the quality of the stream is good. I don't think you have the best show by the technical side is not nothing that you can compare with what you can see in the Big Bash or something like that. But still, that's very true. It's true cricket. It's what the clubs here can do, and they give their best. Then, of course, cricket, as I said, in Italy, if you look back, the first game of cricket in Italy has been played at the end of the 18th century by two crews of Admiral Nelson's fleet in Naples, 1793, I think, yes. And since then, we have Milan Cricket Club, which is the oldest club, and then Rome Capannelle Cricket Club. But if you look back, Genoa Cricket and Football Club, nowadays, and Milan AC was formerly Milan Cricket and Football Club. So both were funded by British or let's say, I think people from British heritage, sometimes living in Italy at the time, and willing to play some football and some cricket at the same time. And we have since the early 60s a lot of cricket happening in Rome through the embassies and through the Commonwealth nations having embassies in Rome, and then it spread out in surroundings of Milan, where it was also possible to find people coming from UK or from Ireland. So I have a lot of friends still playing cricket with British ancestors, let's say that, or who have married an Italian girl. And that's the first part. The second part was more due to migrants coming from India, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, coming here for work and to find a better life standard. And they loved the country, they stayed. I think they stayed because it was good and because it was possible to play some cricket as well. And now they are Italian citizens, and we have now 1 million Asians in Italy. We are 60 million. Of them already passport holders is important because they need to find their own sport. Some of them go playing football, yes, of course, but they still love to or to play cricket. Of course, they can play basket, volleyball, they can swim, they can play tennis, but they still want to have some cricket. And maybe even just a couple of games, the friendly games, they come to the ground and have a couple of beers. And they still don't forget their roots. And that's for us is an important asset where we sometimes rely, and we rely on them. We rely on their love for the game, and their passion. And at the end of the, let's say, the first migration phase, their sons were here. They were already Italian citizens by birth, and you can't they want that their sons still go ahead with their traditions and still play cricket, and maybe they see that some potential, they send back their sons to get some coaching, proper coaching in their home countries, maybe 15 days per year, and then they come back, they are better players. That's what we see a lot nowadays. Of course, we are not able to provide the facilities that full members have, not even the lowest tier. But part of our future is in, of course, finding solutions for the improvement of the game, of the quality of the game here in Italy. And we hope we are doing a decent job in this sense. The national team is completely different. The national team is, you need to win. You need to climb the rankings in order to get better KPIs in general with the national team, with the other KPIs for ICC, which means money for us. But sooner or later a solution also for the local players. Of course, I can deny that I have players in Australia, in South Africa, in UK that are absolutely of a different standard from what we have here. But we are closing the gap, and we have been playing in Malaysia now with players from local players, less than in the past, but still the players that were there, they have performed extremely well. And then there's another story. Of course, you need to win. You need to look at the Olympics as the next option. And the Olympics implies passport holders. So if you think that players like Spencer Johnson has an Italian passport, Joe Burns, he has an Italian passport as well. There are many Australian players that have Italian heritage. Think about Daniel Vettori, Luke Ronchi. It's not just Wayne Madsen, Grant Stewart, Gareth Berg who are in the national team. It's Emilio Gay. He's Italian. And if you look at the county players, there's plenty of them. And of course, our limit is we cannot pay them. No, for sure, not the money that Australia Cricket or ECB can pay them. But we look at them as for the cricket growth in Italy, because they are setting the bar at a different level. They are showing to our guys, local guys, what is top cricket, and that's also what Emilia has understood. She's coming from UK, and she's been raising the bar for our girls as well, and we have some interesting girls in the picture for the future as well. Of course, we know that it's a mix that is dangerous. People are not happy here of this approach, but my approach is that we need to win games in order to make cricket more visible in the country and outside the country. In Italy, we always say that we as a federation, we are not just the Italian Cricket Federation, so the smallest sports federation in Italy. We are representing the second biggest sport in the world, and maybe the best one. in Italy. And so we need to explain what's behind a World Cup, what's behind an IPL. The money involved in the process, so to attract sponsors that maybe can say, okay, listen, I have customers in India. I might be interested in looking at them from a different point of view. And part of the future is absolutely looking at development involving the top players we have and bringing them here in Italy and trying to make them the coaches we don't have at the moment. We have some, of course, we have some good ones. We are happy with the national team set up at the moment, and not just because we qualified, but because they understand the game at an associate level. Kevin O'Brien and Gareth Berg have been playing at the associate level for more than 10 years, and no, they both retired from professional cricket, but they still can bring in some ideas, some right approach to even if the game strategy and the analysis, we don't have that culture here locally. So we need to bring something in. And I hope in the near future we can see more top quality players join. At the same time, my focus will be on the facilities in order to raise them here. And I hope that maybe a 1% of these 35,000 kids we've been approaching this year will be joining us as players of the future of Italian cricket.
Yeah, definitely, yes. So a lot of good things that you've mentioned there, Fabio, and it was it sounds very promising, and a lot of good work's gone into it. But it was good to hear about your journey in terms of how you got into cricket, how you got to be a part of the federation and be the president and take that leadership to the next level in terms of trying to make the sport a better place in Italy and try and be the best sport you can possibly be, really, and make sure that the good work we're doing is not going to waste. So it was very interesting hearing about your journey and how you tie yourself into the Italian cricket setup. So I thought to start this interview on Italy cricket, Fabio, I thought we talk about the history of cricket in Italy, and you can learn a lot about cricket from its history. And the history of cricket in Italy is quite interesting. You mentioned briefly some points and facts there about the history just before. But Fabio, can you give us a brief overview on the history of cricket in Italy, how the association got set up, how the clubs and all that came together to form the federation as it is today? So give us a bit of an overview on that and the history of the game in Italy.
The federation itself is 42 years old. As you can understand, it's not a long time. We are quite new, and we've been introduced to the Olympic Committee as an association, not as a. We are a associated discipline and not a full member, let's say. So that makes a big difference in terms of money at the moment. We hope to be a national federation soon, because of being now an Olympic sport. That will change our budget from the government from 200,000 euro to maybe few millions, hopefully. We don't know yet, of course, but that's what many European nations are looking at for the development. Um, and if you think just Germany will be for sure get an allocated budget of a couple of millions, and Italy wouldn't be that different, most probably. With a couple of millions, you can do a lot of things. And you can play much more cricket with your national team, travel more. And the history dates back in the 80s, where, as I said, there was groups of people um, mixed from let's say Italian who have been playing the game in Asians, expats, personnel of the embassies, or working at FAO, like the founder of Capannelle Cricket Club. And those people joined one day and said, okay, let's do a cricket association here in Italy. And I think the first group was maybe 3-4 clubs or something like that, and then they started playing championship. And when I joined in '93, it was 6 clubs only in Italy at the time, because some already stopped their activity, and some said, okay, we just play friendly games and so on. The growth has been constant, but we were losing every year a few clubs because of the person that runs the club is just one. That person stops playing or moves somewhere else, goes to Canada, goes to UK. Tired of traveling so much, because we were traveling. When you go to Rome, you travel by car 600 kilometers with your cricket bags and so on. It costs a fortune in terms of petrol and fees, and of course it wasn't that easy. We all had jobs. Monday morning, you're tired. You've been traveling all night long. It wasn't easy. Now we have moved things to a different concept. We try to play in clusters, and then the winner of the cluster goes to have another, let's say, quarterfinal or semi-final with the nearest cluster top club, and we travel less, or they travel less, because I'm not traveling anymore. So less kilometers and more games. We have now, I think we have reached a decent standard in terms of life balance between normal life and cricket. And today, for us, I think that the story, looking at our story, we had a lot of games with Capannelle, with Pianoro, which is Bologna, and those were the two places where it was like more or less like Juventus. Pianoro was like the Juventus of the cricket clubs, and Capannelle was like Milan or Inter. So they were sharing a little bit the championships. But then there has been a big shift in the north, and that's when the players from Milan, Bergamo, Brescia have been more involved in, and a lot of new clubs came. We have a lot of Pakistanis in the Brescia Bergamo area, a lot of Indians in the Bergamo and nearby area, and a lot of Sri Lankans in Milan, and that made a difference. Of course, if you look at just in Brescia, you have now, I think it's between Bergamo, Brescia, and Milan, it's 25 clubs. Maybe among them there are the strongest, and that explains how things evolved a bit. And I think there's okay, you can look at the past. We were naive in not understanding that the grounds were the crucial, establishing a ground and making it the house of the club for the next 100 years has been a key almost everywhere, I think, in the world, and we have not been able to do that in the past. We've been struggling always with that aspect. Nowadays, we are nearing a decent level. Of course, it's not easy, but being higher in numbers, it makes us, let's say, more visible, and we, being an Olympic sport, gives us the possibility to go to the township and say, hey, listen, we are an Olympic sport. We need a ground. We have a lot of people paying taxes here. They are Italians as well. Of course, it's difficult because still Italy is a strange country. You have a lot of bureaucracy, as I said, but I think nowadays is the right time to see decent grounds coming. Of course, another thing from the past which comes to my mind is that we used to play, of course, in whites. We are not playing in whites since 2012, which explains you the difference. White ball cricket was already existing maybe since many years, and we were still trying to play the traditional way. I love playing red ball personally. I still prefer playing red ball than white ball. But of course, I was, when I became vice president of the federation, I've been the one who was pushed for the change, because I said, listen, in terms of marketing, that people come to the ground and say, what are those ice cream resellers? Yeah, of course.
Let's just say that.
Exactly. The people, I think they're selling gelato, and they couldn't identify who was making what, and now it's possible. Of course, as long as you don't have two identical colors on the ground, which happens from time to time.
Yeah.
We will improve in this sense as well. And then you have, of course, some good memories of the past, because we had a lot of Italians at the time. Because there was a rule forcing the clubs to have at least 7 Italians on the field, and it was 7 real Italians, because of course the expats didn't have a passport yet, and we did, but of course that didn't help the quality of the games. I think now we have a better quality. We have more Italians in terms of players, but of course those Italians are of Asian heritage, most probably. That's where we regret we haven't been able to involve more the local kids, but it's some job for the future.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. And it was very interesting listening to you talk about the history of the federation, I should say, and how the clubs got involved and how that was all set up. And it's very interesting how these things come about. And it
Then, of
was very
course,
interesting listening.
there's also the national team story, which, of course, the former president Simone Gambino has done a great job. He's been paying with his own personal money the travels of the national team in the past. And at a certain point in '98, Italy won against ECB team. It wasn't, of course, England first 11, but it was the non-professional 11, but still we beating England and achieving a superb result in the European Championship at the time. We let's say we understood that we had the standard to progress up in the rankings, and of course we were just introduced into ICC, and Simone also did a great job in pushing for let's say the associate members to have fundings and so on. And cricket has changed since then. Of course, we need to say that nowadays the gap between the 40th in the ranking, which is the limit for the voting members, and 15th in the ranking is not that big as it was in the past. With a good coaching and good opportunity of playing more games, even Italy, that is, let's say, around 25th position, can give a fight to a full member like Ireland. We lost by 7 runs only last summer. Of course, we've been trashed by Scotland because we dropped a catch which was crucial that day, and as you know, catches win matches. But I think it's not so difficult to see Italy in the top 20 or top 15 in 4 or 5 years. And top 15 teams now can beat full members at least in T20 games rather easily, I think. It's already happened, and it will continue to happen in the next years, I think.
Yeah. Excuse me, definitely, yep. And on that subject of the national teams, Fabio, before we talk about the Italy national cricket teams, the women's and men's, it'd be good to gain your insights on the two teams and learn more about their achievements and stories, because many of the players come from diverse backgrounds, coming from different countries, playing for Italy from around the world, and the women's and men's team have really come on leaps and bounds over the years. When I spoke to Emilia, she said the women's team are starting to find their groove and starting to really play well and develop well, and the men same for them as well over the years. So a lot of good signs from both teams. So Fabio, for those who may not know a lot about the Italy women's and men's teams, can you tell us more about them, the players, and some of their stories that you would like to share with us?
As I will start from our captain of the men's team, Gareth Berg. He's from Italian heritage by mother, because the father is Norwegian heritage, Berg, as you can understand, but the mother is Delucchi, and Delucchi is a typical name from Genova, and he's so proud to play for Italy, and he always loved to play in blue, and he's looking at changing his name on the shirt into the mother's name in order to have an Italian name. And he's so passionate. I love him for this. And then you have other county players. I don't want to mention them, but they have all showed passion in playing in blue, and they reckon that there's part of their roots that revives in them, and even if they just speak a few words, and even if maybe it's their grandfather who had Italian citizenship and none of the parents actually never lived in Italy, they feel Italian. They love playing for Italy. They are maybe already living from cricket, like people like Grant Stewart, Wayne Madsen. But a player like Wayne Madsen said to me when we were in Malaysia, I would like to move to Italy after my retirement. He needs to stay in UK and play there, but he's not going back to South Africa. He wants to stay in Italy because he loves the country. And Anthony Mosca and AJ for us. AJ said, I want to move to Italy and stay there. I don't know if he's going to make it, but I understand that they say, okay, I like my country, I like Australia, I love to play here. I know that I have the best coaching, the best facilities and so on, but still my passion is Italy as a country. And it's not maybe just the movida in Milan or in Rome that they are looking at, is and not even the life standard that is different, or the food. Of course, they might like pizza, like many, but I don't think they are willing to come here for the pizza. They think that there's some future for cricket, and there's some future for them into cricket here in Italy. That's what I love from the current national team setup, and the same for all the guys from Asian countries. They love to play in blue. They put their heart, really, and that's very special for me as a president. I'm very proud of that, because we've built a good setup, a good atmosphere in the team. For the girls, it's different. The block is mainly from Sri Lankans, but there have been after we started later, of course. There have been recently some additions, Emilia among them, and they are coming because of course they listen, and we have the same situation where we have a lot of girls with the parents who have an Italian passport, or they also already have an Italian passport. I say, okay, I'm keen to play, and I don't want to make names for the future, but if you understand that the Divenuto a lot at many levels. They help us to coach our guys locally and to do some scouting. So Peter Di Venuto is in the setup. Michael Di Venuto has been playing and has been helping a lot. Also, when we've been in UK last year, he's been providing some help for the preparation week we had before the tournament. Their dad has been providing a lot of interesting ideas in the past, and that's one family. We know the Italian community in Australia is very supportive of trying to help Italy. We would love to hear more from them. Of course, if they have kids they want to send to Italy to understand the Italian culture, we would love also to have them here as players to understand more from their cricket culture.
Yeah.
And of course, the girls is different because most of the team is from Sri Lanka. The biggest part is from Sri Lanka, and there have been Prabat, the coach, has been doing a huge job. I think we need to look now at big change because we have, as I said, 2-3 girls from outside, but we also need to. It will be easier, I think, from my point of view, to go to the Olympics with the teams from the girls than the boys. The boys, of course, the level is easier to climb the rankings with the girls. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So we will try to invest more in the girls' game.
Yeah. It's like with Brazil because I
Yeah.
spoke to Matt Featherston from Brazil on the podcast a few months ago, and he talked about that we decided to make a decision to invest in the women's team, make them professional because they will give us the best opportunity to grow and develop rather than the men's team. That doesn't necessarily mean we have to forget about the men's team. We still have to support them, but for our best chances of success, the women's team will be more likely to do that.
If you look at
That's understandable.
Brazil, they've done a great job.
Yeah, no, they have, and some really good stuff happening there in Brazil. So I suppose that's the case with all associate nations, is they have to try and juggle the rankings, because if you finish higher, you get more funding and all that.
Exactly.
And a lot of people, yeah, it's a complicated system for those who are looking from the outside. And I'm sure the people I've spoken to in this series on the podcast have said the same thing. We don't even understand the rankings ourselves. The ICC come up with it, and we just have to go off of what they do.
You don't know, every year you don't know where you're ending, because of course you're doing your job. Even if you're growing, you will see the results in 2 years, because you will understand only in 2 years what the others have done. So you think, yeah, I've done a huge step up in the number of clubs, I've done a huge step up in the number of kids playing and so on, but maybe in Africa, another country has been doing 10 times the numbers you've been doing, and you're going backwards instead of forward. And that's part of the game, of course, but the sad thing is that it's difficult to think about a budget in terms of not knowing as a company, I mean, you don't know how much you can invest and so on. But okay, that's money that's coming from nothing actually for us. We are happy with that. We must be thankful to ICC, and of course we would love to see more, because if they take maybe another 50 million out of the full members budget, they don't even notice, most probably. But it will be a huge difference for us. On the other hand, I understand countries saying, okay, I'm producing the money with my TV rights, nobody else is doing, why should I divide my cake? And but I think if you want to make it a real global game, we need to look a little bit more at what football has done in those terms, even with the projects for the facilities development, which is crucial. And on the other hand, in making only a single tier of members, then of course the actual full members will still get the biggest part of the cake, no doubt about it. But that makes the feeling of a family, which is a single family, not with the first class and second class kids. And then, of course, I don't think you can just look at the men's game as the girls now want more opportunities to have a sports life. It's already difficult for the girls to have a normal sports life, but especially without facilities is even more difficult, because not having a toilet, not having a dressing room, asking to the girls to hide them into a marquee and do a part of what we think is quite normal as a man. It's not the same thing for girls. So we need to look at. I don't think an Italian mother would love to see her daughter half naked on the ground. They would love to see them in proper dressing rooms, and that's why I'm asking more money for the facilities.
Yeah, absolutely. Excuse me. Yes, it comes down to that, isn't it? Money, funding. You know, you can do a lot of things with money, but if you don't have money, you can't do certain things. Which is the case in all of associate cricket, really, from the people I've spoken to in this series. In terms of the national teams, women's and men's, what's in store for them in terms of tournaments and series?
So at this stage, we have 50 over, the T20, the under 19, and the women's qualifiers. That's in June. We are hosting after many years. The last time was in 2010. We hosted the 50 over qualifier. This time we will host the T20 European qualifier. Being an host nation has gives us more awareness also of what is required from real cricket nation. So it's not just the ground, it's also the organization and finding proper solutions for the hotels and arranging events before and during the tournament. It will be interesting stuff. Of course, the we expect a tough competition, although we think that we will be able to qualify. But T20 cricket is rather tricky, so we need to be at our best by then. Then we expect with the men's game to have the start of the process for the 2027 50 over World Cup. And it will be, I think, at least we have achieved beating Vanuatu the very last ball or quite, with my friend Tim Cutler sadly out of. I was very sad that day because I was happy for my team, but I know the struggles that Vanuatu will face now. That's because that budget makes a big difference for an associate nation, and it's $265,000 per year that we can dedicate to the national teams. Then we will have an under-19 qualifier, which is important because it helps us to find the players of the future. We've been doing quite well in the past, winning the pre-qualifier. Of course, we are not at the standard of the top teams in Europe at the moment, but we still can win games. And the girls, I think that they have a different pathway this year. They will play more cricket at a higher level, but they don't have the qualifier, so it will be a little different. We will try to keep the pace and improve and work on our skills, but we have a series with Holland, and that will be the peak of the season. But we will have many other national team games, and we are working very hard on the high performance programs. And of course, it's a bit tricky because associate nations don't get so much opportunities to play. Also because the budgets are very low. So we have been asked to play more cricket by ICC, but of course you need to find a balance.
Yeah.
And it's not so easy.
Yeah, no, I can imagine.
Well, if you look, we've been growing in terms of budget. When I took the federation, it was a $400,000 budget, more or less. Now we have, for 2024, it's more than 2 million. So that's because we've been good at growing here locally in finding resources from the government and other sources, small sponsors and so on. And on the other hand, improving our ICC KPIs, which means more money. But of course, if we had lost the game with Vanuatu last month, it would have been drama for us. Because of course, not just going back in the rankings, but also stopping 50 over cricket with the national team. Also stopping to looking at 50 over with different skills. You cannot approach 50 over game as a T20, as you know. And we need to understand more where we need to invest money, but on the other hand, it's good to have more money to invest.
Yes, that's right. Yes, but no, really encouraging to hear that both the women's and the men's teams have got some big tournaments and series ahead. So hopefully, many success to come in terms of that, Fabio. And I think many people listening to this episode would say the same thing. We hope that Italy continue to develop and grow as a cricketing nation, both the women's and the men's team. So hopefully, we wish all of the teams, both of them, success, and hopefully they can, do some great things in the next few months or so, and hopefully make all Italians proud over there in Italy as well, supporting their national teams, and hopefully they can achieve good things and get better, as you mentioned. Always keep getting better and develop and grow. Is the important thing. Take those small steps. So I'll be watching with close interest, Fabio, how the Italy women's and men's teams are going. And I think everyone else will be after listening to this episode today. They will be curious and be hoping to see what can Italy do on the world stage. That's for sure, because they've already done some good things thus far.
Let's hope we have some tifosi from down under.
Yes. Let's hope so. Fabio, I thought we talk about the growth and development of cricket within Italy in terms of getting cricket into local communities, clubs, schools, grassroots, etc. And this is one of the challenges that many associate nations have, is how they introduce cricket and promote it. That's easier said than done. Now, you've already mentioned a few things there when it comes to the growth and development in our chat today. But you, as the president of the federation, you must sit back in your chair, must scratch your head and ask yourself these questions to yourself and the rest of the team in terms of how do you introduce it into the community, cricket that is, and how you establish grassroots cricket at local level and local clubs and local communities and competitions and pathway systems, underage comps, because you need that talent identification so they can rise up to the national teams and get to international cricket. And facilities, as we've talked about, nets, grounds available for people to play in their areas, because in Australia you can walk down the street and you can go to the local park and you can play a game of cricket with some nets there and a ground, but in associate countries you can't really do that as much because of facilities.
The budget is limited. The facilities have huge costs, especially in terms of maintenance. If you look at the cost of maintenance of a turf pitch, for instance, it's extremely high, and we pay Italian salaries. If you look at the money of let's say BCCI and the salaries in India for a groundsman, for the staff at the ground. Already we've been to Malaysia last month, and the staff there, the cost they had was similar to Italy. So they have the same struggles we have. I think one of the things that ICC should look at is considering that there must be a correction factor, because of course the cost of living in Bermuda or in Italy from Bangladesh, India, Africa, and we need to find a balance a little bit in that as well. Otherwise, I was saying, so you need to identify part of the budget that you want to allocate to the growth, and say, okay, I want to spend this part for 2-3 things and focus for a certain number of years on those 2-3 things only. Of course, you don't develop grassroots cricket unless you have proper facilities. You can have nets, but it's difficult to have only nets if you don't have grounds and I don't think that the secret is the clubhouse. The secret is the a proper ground. But we need to understand more on, also from the mistakes that has been done in the past, also in the UK, because of course it's not easy for them as well. I believe that cricket has a huge potential here, but we don't expect to overcome football as the most established sport in Italy. We think we can count, say we have 1 million Asians, we think we have 5% of these people who wants to play cricket. And so we have now 205,000 registered players. We think we need to have at least 50,000 players. And with 50,000 players and more clubs and more grounds around, in 10 years, it will be easier to involve Italian girls and Italian boys because working in the schools will be easier. We have now access as an Olympic sport. We have now access, let's say, preferential channel to access to schools. And we have a couple of assets. One of them is English, of course, because you can sell the product also by selling the fact that the kids will learn better English by playing cricket, because we all talk in English on the ground.
Yeah.
And then of course there's the fact that you need to approach the storytelling with the values we have, what we've been talking about at the beginning: spirit of the game, fair play, and respect, integration. Those are things which are at the center of the values that sports should carry with them, and I think is very much underestimated. And cricket, of course, is maybe the best example of in terms of team sport for this. I've been skiing a lot. Of course, we also talk about respect and so on in the mountains and so on, but we are not a team sport. You have a fantastic bond with your friends while skiing, but at the end of the day, when you're racing, they are your opponents. And team sport are different. Team sport makes you understand that how life, even in real life, I mean, works, because you understand that you can carry your bucket of water, you can carry the part that you are best at, and that's important. And this cricket is special for that, because you have people betting all day long, and you have people waiting to bet and being patient. That makes you understand a lot, and that makes you understand that you have to be ready when the other one is out. You have to be ready and perform and make your part. And if the top bowlers are not able, the part-time bowlers must be prepared to do the trick with the slow arm or something like that. And I've never been a top bowler, so I've always been able to say, okay, shit gets wickets.
Yeah. That's usually the saying that we have in cricket. Yeah.
And of course, from my point of view here, in order to involve Italians, we need to find some interesting stories to tell, and to work much more on integration. Of course, the kids today at school are much more used to have Asians in their classes than in the past, and so they are friends, and those Asians will invite them to the place where they love to practice their sports. Let's see for the future if we have more of them,
Yeah.
more Fabio Marabini, because I'm a bit tired as well, because it's midnight here. I've been talking cricket long.
Yes, but it's really encouraging that the growth and the development side of the game in Italy is really something that the excuse me, that the federation has prided themselves on, and some good work and good thought has gone into it as well. And you mentioned earlier in our chat about getting kids involved in schools and developing those programs, which has been encouraging as well. And you mentioned the Olympics funding there as well, which is a big game changer for associate nations, with cricket being in the Olympics now. And
let's hope so, because Olympics, the Olympic dream is always something that helps in terms of marketing for every sport. You have sports where that very word like I don't know, curling. Do you think you be practicing some curling? There's people here playing curling, and we won a gold medal with the teams event. And it's important. It's important. Being in the Olympics is the key for cricket for the future, for countries like Italy, of course.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, no, it definitely is. Certainly for associate nations as well across the board, it's definitely important for them to get that exposure, especially being a part of the Olympics now and getting that extra funding, as I mentioned, from Olympic committees around the world as well. But really encouraging signs from what you've said, Fabio, about the growth and development of the game. In terms of, I've always asked this question, Fabio, with people I've interviewed on the podcast in this series, excuse me, on associate cricket, about the ICC and their dealings with them in terms of their relationship. In terms of your personal experience with the ICC, in terms of dealing with them as a governing body as a whole, but also with the regional bodies like ICC Europe, for example, have the relationships been very constructive and very good?
Absolutely. It was in the past with the former administrators, and it is now with Andy Wright, with Michael Kennoy as the launch. We are very happy. They're really positive. I think they are happy too with us, not just Italy. I mean, how things are developing in Europe in general. I think Europe needs to step up a little bit, because we still are where the game has been growing in the first part of the past century, and I still think that it's where there is the biggest potential, because there's a big market there that hasn't been caught yet by the people thinking about the global strategies. And if you look at where are the most of the G8 countries based, Italy, Germany, Spain, France, UK, so, and that's Europe. And I think that we have been doing a lot of interesting programs with ICC Europe in terms of technical development, in terms of administration, knowledge. I think also that we are well controlled, which is good, because we before getting the money, we get a full screening of what are we doing with the money, and that's positive because it gives you some awareness of the let's say it's not just a plan, the overall plan in terms of global development, but in terms of having everybody having a plan, not just someone. So we do have our plan, they have their own plan, the global strategists have their own plan. So we need to merge sometimes.
Yeah, that's the important thing, isn't it? Just to work together and hopefully achieve great things. If you just work together and put your heads together, and you can achieve good outcomes. So let's hope that's the case when it comes to associate nations working together, and also the full member nations working with the associate nations as well to try and to achieve that as well for the
Yeah.
great good of the game. But listening to your thoughts on the growth and development of the game in Italy, Fabio, it seems very promising. It seems positive, good work being done.
Thank you.
And hopefully that continues as the years progress, and hopefully many people in Italy will take up the sport and grow and develop as cricketers, hopefully. And that's really encouraging to hear that. So thank you for sharing that with us, Fabio. Fabio, well, we've got one more topic to talk about before we end a very long interview that we've done today, but I've enjoyed it immensely. I thought we'd talk about what the future holds for cricket in Italy. I know it's very hard to predict the future, as we know, but Fabio, how do you see Italy cricket and associate cricket going into the future? Your thoughts on that to end our interview today?
I see Cricket Italy in the top 15 within the next 10 years. And sadly, somebody else will need to drop backwards, but I think we have the potential. And I think Cricket Italy being able to host international events in 10 years. I mean, the same USA has done. I'm ambitious, of course, I know. I don't have most probably the investors that are around in the USA. But still, I think that there's a huge potential here, in Europe in general and in Italy in particular.
Yeah.
And the plan in general, as I said, is to work more with the schools and so on. But still, I don't mind being for a near future in order to top the rankings, Australia B for the next 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
I need those players because if they don't get opportunities in Australia, we are happy to give them more than one.
Yeah. There's quite a few Australian Italian players, obviously. I heard that the Menenti brothers,
Yeah.
are looking to represent Italy in the near future. Yeah. So there are quite a few players who are embarking on that route. to get opportunities, I suppose, to play international cricket. And that's what you see in associate nations, I suppose. People who come from countries, other countries, but also have a connection to an associate nation, wanting to further their opportunities in cricket. So, yeah, let's hope the future is optimistic and bright for Italy cricket. It's going in the right direction. So it was good to hear your thoughts there, Fabio, on how you see the future and how things are going to go into the years to come for Italy cricket. So let's hope that's the case. But we have to wait and see when the time comes.
Okay. Let's have a meeting in 3 years and see if we qualify for the World Cup for the 50 overs, or at least we have been that near.
Yes, let's hope we see that progress in the years to come. Well, Fabio, thank you for joining me today for this Associate Cricket Series episode to discuss all things Italy cricket. I've enjoyed it immensely. I'm sure you have as well, and I'm sure everyone listening or watching to this episode has enjoyed it as well. Learned a little bit more about Italy as a country, but also as a cricketing nation. And it's been great, Fabio, listening to you speak about your journey in cricket, but also Italy cricket in general, and a lot of good things happening over there. So you should be proud of your efforts and hard work over these last few years. Fabio, if people want to get in touch with you in terms of contacting you directly or getting in touch with the Federation to learn more about Italy cricket or ask some questions, where can people do that?
We have a website, we have our Facebook page. The website is cricketitalia.org, and the Facebook page, you just look for Federazione Cricket Italiana, and we have Instagram, Cricket Italy, we have Twitter, and of course, I think that if just Google Fabio Marabini, you will not jump directly into my business webpage, which is probably also coming up. I run a company doing completely different things, of course. As soon as I'll be able to live from cricket, I would be more than happy to do that. But at the moment, it's not the case. It's my personal mobile number is almost everywhere in the cricket world, and so is Callum Pereira, my CEO. Mobile number and email, and of course you have my email is presidencia@cricketitalia.org. If you have decent players wanting to join us, you just have to mail me.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe you have some interest after this interview goes out with some players from other countries, maybe wanting to.
You know, as I said, we have several scouts in Australia. We have Carl Sandri and Peter Vivenuto. Carl Sandri has been coaching PNG recently, and he's now hoping to join Italy with an opportunity in the future. Let's see if we are able to offer him something.
Yeah. Definitely. Thanks for that, Fabio. We'll leave links to those in the description of this episode for people to check out all things related to Italy cricket. If they live in Italy and they want to play cricket themselves, they can go and access those resources, or want to learn more about cricket in Italy in general. We'll leave a link to those in the description of this episode for people to check out. Before we go, remember to like, share, comment, subscribe, and click the bell to make sure you get latest episodes of the podcast. Be sure to like and share our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter and on Instagram. So the podcast is available on Anchor, Spotify, and on Apple Podcasts. Once again, thank you, Fabio, for joining me today to discuss all things Italy cricket. I hope all of you watching or listening to this Associate Cricket Series episode learned a lot about cricket in Italy from Fabio. Until next time, keep safe and ciao for now.